Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be interviewing Scott Turman of BrightRay Publishing, a company that offers writing and publishing services for founders, CEOs, celebrities, sports figures, and other high-performing professionals. Scott, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Let's go back in time a little bit and talk about how you got started. I understand you were struggling to write a book for years and then got 2 done relatively quickly with your industry disrupting process without a ghostwriter.
So I've been trying to write a book for years. My former life, the last 25 years, I've been a technologist. We just build products, consulting, that kind of stuff. I got my start at NASA 25 years ago. Started kind of consulting for Fortune 500s. 12 years ago, started a consulting company. And nerds are expensive, right? We are especially very specific code nerds, right? And to get them to trust me, I said, I need to write a book on how to negotiate. We are terrible negotiators. So I wrote a book, or I've been trying to write a book to that effect. I'm just a terrible writer. And my close friend of mine's daughter, who had published several books before the age of 20, we kind of worked out a process at the height of COVID to kind of push and pull that book out of my head. And then after 4 months, we published it. And as a result, we got another book. Someone kind of searched me out, said, "Hey, how'd you do it?" Told them, said, "I don't know. I pulled a number out of my head, and they accepted it." And then we read another book, and then it just on and on from there. And now we're about a year and 7 months into it.
Well, congratulations on the journey. Hope it's in a book somewhere. So
no, it's not in a book yet. No.
Well, that's the next one, perhaps. So talk a little bit about what the industry disrupting process you've got is for getting a book done relatively quickly without ghostwriters.
So we have right now, BrightRay is made up of approximately 12 to 13 editors, writers, and graphic designers, etc. And what we do, and all of our writers have published, or they have written books for other people. And it's a weekly 1-hour interview over Zoom, where they kind of, we come up with this thesis, we come up with the chapter outline, we come up with, what are you trying to get out of it? Are you trying to get more business? Are you trying to build your personal brand, etc. And this 1 hour a week kind of interview slowly pulls that book out of the person's head. All the customer's doing is just talking, musing. And then we kind of give a framework to kind of keep them inside the boundaries of that thesis, of that book process, of the kind of the lens with which they're trying to, impart the information. And then a couple of months later, we come up with a bunch of book covers, and then we publish it on Amazon, get it in Books A Million, get it in Barnes and Noble.
That is awesome. Why? Let's go back and not assume anything. Why is having a book? Why is writing a book so important?
So there is no quicker way to become an expert in kind of in a field, right? Typically when there's speaking engagements, or there's or you're trying to get, I don't know, one of the talking heads on the news or what have you. Typically it's, where's your book? Where can I find your book? It's almost like that line in the sand thesis of, this is what I know, this is what I'm expert in. And we look at the book as kind of that foundational process, right? Like if you do a search for my name, Scott Turman, Turman, on Google, you'll find that I've got something called a knowledge panel. Google's kind of separated me out. They think I'm the only Scott Turman in the world, which is not true. There's an actual red Power Ranger with the same name. It took me a while. I crushed him on Google. It took me like about a year. I had to write a book to get him off the front page and to kind of, own that, the word Scott Turman. But we look at it as foundational to kind of that personal brand. When someone looks you up, what are they going to find? What is your area of expertise? Before I had published, I couldn't get any reporters to quote me, take me seriously. Once I was published, if I submitted 5 or 6 responses to recorder's requests, I'm now getting 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 5 actual quotes. Before it was 0 out of 10, 0 out of 20. They want to be able to go back to their publisher, right, or their editor and say, look, this person's an expert in the field. Look, they wrote a book on it. And it's kind of all this, it's kind of circular firing squad in that all these things kind of build your expertise up as that kind of foundation.
Yeah, your book is your brand. Absolutely. We agree 100%. You snuck something in there I want to dive deeper on. What is a knowledge panel on Google?
Okay, so I'm not comparing myself to Bill Gates by any way, shape, or form. But if you do a search on his name and then my name, you'll see that Google is kind of it bypasses the Wikipedia page. It bypasses what Google would consider the actual source of the knowledge. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep you on Google's search page. Why give you a link to Wikipedia when they could just reproduce the data right there on the Google search? A knowledge panel is, once you've taught Google who you are or what it is that you're trying to create that knowledge panel on. Once it has enough information, it'll start presenting that information equal to Wikipedia or equal to whatever you're trying to teach it. Think of a knowledge panel as kind of is that noun in Google's brain as the single source of information that it feels comfortable enough to display, not even allowing you to go to Wikipedia, it just displays that right there on the search.
And you talk about sneaky marketing, how to get around gatekeepers and grab your dream connections. How do you do that?
So there's a couple of ways. So when I was at Kennedy Space Center, I saw that the money was really in kind of private, not necessarily the kind of public type stuff that was going on at NASA. And I saw tons of contracts open at Disney, and I could not get in. I couldn't get into the headhunters. I couldn't get to the HR. They're just, because it's basically like drinking through a fire hose. Everybody wants to work there. So what I did was I FedExed my resume to the CEO's house, like a stalker. And at the time I was in my 20s and I didn't know any better. And now in retrospect, that's a terrible idea. But the delivery mechanism is still a good idea. The ability to FedEx right to someone's office, have them sign for it. There's a 100% open rate on these things, right? That's how you get around the gatekeepers. You want to get hired by the IT director? Go right to the IT director via FedEx. No one sends mail anymore, right? And it's 100% delivery rate. FedEx or USPS. That's kind of the way around the gatekeepers. And all these things are, how do you find that information? Well, all that you can pretty much stalk that around on LinkedIn. There's another company called Zoom Info that can get you any information you want, which is also a bit spooky. And that's kind of how it's done. I mean, nowadays, what we do is we FedEx our book. If I believe someone at a Fortune 5 or a high value person or customer, I'll FedEx them a copy of my book. If I send 10, I'll get 5 or 4 callbacks. And I don't think anybody can claim a 40 or 50% callback rate on anything, but you can via mail. I promise, especially if it's done with something that requires a signature.
Absolutely, that is an awesome idea. Who's an ideal client for BrightRay?
Ideal client would be an entrepreneur, someone who's trying to become famous for what it is they do, right? Entrepreneurs typically are inseparable, in my opinion, from their actual businesses. And I know, I think a lot of entrepreneurs would kind of poo-poo that, in that they don't necessarily want their name to be synonymous with their brand. But in my opinion, it's the best way to kind of build that company, right? And so our perfect client would be, in fact, someone trying to build the brand, but also build their company as the kind of face of that brand. We've written books for CEO of Disney. We've written books for, a million entrepreneurs. I mean, I hear pitches all day long from entrepreneurs, And it's kind of amazing because you're like, I can't believe you made $11 million doing this, or you bought your private jet doing that. I mean, I'm kind of it's like the best job in the entire world. So all I do is hear amazing ideas. And then, the book is kind of secondary, based on the people we kind of meet,
That makes a lot of sense. With all the success you've achieved, I mean, what's your biggest challenge now?
Hiring people is not easy right now. That's definitely part of the problem. Also digitization of our process. I've been writing code for 25 years. We're definitely on the road, but I could definitely see, it takes a while to get it right. If you're running a business, how are you going to do that? There's always these kind of cash flow issues that, a lot of companies kind of deal with. There's a million ways to kind of deal with that as well. I mean, right now it's really just trying to scale. And I believe that's probably the problem of anybody who's made more than $1, at a business for a while,
Absolutely. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you do?
I meet rad people every day. Every single day, I talk to a new entrepreneur or a new leader of a company, or every single day I talk to someone who's crushed it in some way, shape, or form. And kind of being on the inside and be able to pick a phone up and call them, for other things, right, is kind of amazing. But it really is that constant flow of amazing humans who have done amazing stuff.
That is absolutely incredible. And how do folks find you?
So I own the trademark BrightRay, BRIGHTRAY. So all my companies are BrightRay Consulting, BrightRay Publishing. But if you'd like to learn more about our service, go to brightray.com or look me up, Scott Turman, on Google, LinkedIn, Twitter, all the normal socials.
Awesome. Well, we know your time is incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. This has been Seth Greene with Scott Turman from BrightRay. Scott, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll talk to you or see you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.